All right, welcome to episode 187 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining me this week, once again, we have Chase.
G'day.
And Steven.
Yep.
I hate when you do that because you think something's wrong. Stop it. Oh, man. Kind of a light news week this week, which is fine with me. We'll have mostly discussion on a couple fun little topics here as we debate about AI trying to recreate missing scenes of movies. People kind of backing off the fact they probably got it wrong about Star Wars Outlaws and are now trying to also cover their ass with Elden Ring. And talking a little bit more. Plus, a very, very quiet Sony state of play of just one game, which was interesting, but we'll talk about it. Before we get into that, though, let's jump into what we've been doing. So, Steven, let's start with you. What you been up to?
Well, I played DZZ because they have a new update.
Shocking. They
have a girl who rides around on a Segway, and whenever she attacks, she summons her mech. But at least she's on a Segway, so that's cool. And then there's another one whose tail fights for her, even though because it's robotic, and she's got a knife. It's great. For people who only have played the game will understand this, because I'm going to go into...
I don't think people who played the game are going to understand any of this, but go ahead.
But played date everything with the wife watching, and I can say I upgraded my PC, and she wants to see other people, so screw her.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
I updated her OS, and she's just like, maybe I should see other people now that I'm sexy. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Oh, damn it!
I've made perfect love with the vents. The clock likes me because I'm on time and I know timeliness, and I'm very good about scheduling. I tried to talk to the washer and dryer and get them back together, but I got my first hate from the stupid washer. So the washer hates me, and because I got rejected, the manifestation of rejection came and laughed at me. Didn't like that. But the dryer, who's voiced by somebody from Baldur's Gate, I forget his name, but is still trying to court me, and I was like, leave me alone. I tried to get you guys together. My game console really loves me as well, but she's got this 50 first dates thing. She keeps forgetting my name, so she gave me a keyword to say now.
Yeah, there's a lot more to go with that one. I did go way further in that.
And then I'm good friends with the couch. The couch cooked me some really good Hawaiian food.
I haven't talked to the couch
I've been hanging out with food. I've been hanging out with the fridge a few times. He makes good ice cream. So it's been interesting.
Have you found nightmares yet?
No, I'm taking things a day at a time, basically.
Okay. All I will say is, with your last action, drink coffee. That's how you get nightmares, and that's a whole weird thing. So that'll add into that one. But continue.
And I didn't get the warning you talked about until I talked to my bed the second time.
Oh.
And she came in and she's just like, how about, and I'm like, get out of here. I don't care about anything you say, and I hate you. And she's like, fine, I'm going.
Have you explored the drawer next to the bed?
I talked to the microtransaction guy, and I talked to the drawer, yeah.
Have you opened the drawer?
No.
Open the freaking drawer.
It didn't give me an option to at the time.
Oh my God.
I was talking to him first. I did talk to the microtransactions, and I told him how much I hate him, and he said I'd get used to it. I talked to my workout equipment, and I told him he was a piece of shit, and he's just like, I'll get to you eventually. And I was like, no, if I hate you, I hate you.
I guess I'm just like a people pleaser trying to make everybody happy. Like I was talking with the microtransactions.
I told my wife, if I don't like this thing in real life, I'm going to treat it like garbage. So I'm treating my coffee machine like garbage. I'm treating things I hate like garbage, but things I love, like I tried so hard with my computer. Now my computer's like, maybe we should see other people. Like, screw you, lady.
Yeah, the microtransactions, like I've got that one where I'm friends with it, and like I'm learning about its divorce, and it's trying to do stuff for its kids and like all this other stuff. It's kind of funny, actually.
At least I understand. Okay.
Right. I get it. I was just like, I just want to see how this goes.
I was watching somebody else play Act 3 of Expedition 33. Saw an enemy I forgot to fight, so I went back in and fought it, beat it in a second or so. Still
Nice.
trying to get the last achievement, which is to get everybody at 99. So I was like, I have to go back and do that. I've been playing still Kirby's Forgotten Land. I don't go to the next stage unless I've 100% at every level, so I've had to go back a couple times because sometimes I don't know what the hell they want, and eventually if you have one, they at least reveal one whenever you beat the stage, so I've beaten some stages 4 or 5 times until it tells me what I need to do. Or I'm like, how did I forget where this thing was? Because some of those things don't appear unless you just walk everywhere. So that's crazy. Chris and I enlisted Chris to play the Switch 2 edition of Exit 8. I had the first one, and then the upgrade was $1. So it just runs nice and silky smooth and looks a lot better. And we just found out all the anomalies pretty quickly. But now there's like 35 new anomalies that are eventually being added to the other versions. So it's a good title. Eventually, I'm waiting for the Switch 2 edition of Platform 8, where you have to find everything wrong in a train. So that should be interesting.
Okay.
I also started playing, I didn't know there was an original of this, but Forgotten Memories Remastered.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically plays like, I want to say like maybe like a more psychological, if you can believe that, Silent Hill. And for some reason they don't do too many voices while going through the game, but whenever you find something to read, she reads the whole book. She reads everything. And I'm like, why did you do all the voice acting when I find a file? Imagine Resident Evil, they don't talk unless they find something. And you know those pages where you'd find something that you'd have to read?
Right.
Imagine them reading all of that, but then when you talk to something, they don't say anything. So,
I guess you wanted to be specific.
Very weird, but it was interesting to play right now. I'm still going through that. And then lastly, something crazy happened last week that I forgot to bring up. It arrived at the 2 days after they refunded me my money.
Oh my God. So you got it for free.
So I was like, okay. I'm still waiting for the digital one to appear on store so I can at least play it, because I was like, I don't want to open that one. But yeah, that was the question mark. I was surprised that it came in the mail. I was like, oh, okay. I did get it.
I wish I could have gotten one because I wanted to open it and look at it. I wanted to see how they built the cartridge and what it was like on that. Because that's always interesting about how their NES ones are.
Yeah, it's not Halloween yet. Don't give up faith.
We'll see. I'm hoping they'll make some more, but it seemed they were telling me it was a very limited thing. Like that was all they were doing. It was like a promotional, but I'm sure I'll find it eventually. All right. Well, Chase, what about you? What you been doing?
Pretty light week for me with work and everything, but I did decide to free up some time and jump onto Space Marine 2 after the update.
I forgot about that.
Fuck, those stratagems are hard.
How big is the update?
It's pretty decent chunk. It's only a few gigs, but it won't take long. But you have the new I think it's the Black Templars and Imperial Fist cosmetics came in as well on top of the update. New Chaos enemies are in, and new operations mode, which we'll have to play.
Yes.
New operations level, and then the stratagems. Man, that was so they have so it's interesting. The way they do it is interesting, and I could see how they've got people to where you have to play them. So they've added a new in-game currency. It's like you earn it by playing stratagems, and then that way you can unlock some of the weapons like the Xenophase blade and like a new pistol and things like that. So it incentivizes you to play them. They have daily stratagems, which are quite a bit easier, and generally speaking, they actually have like modifiers that are sort of beneficial to you. It's usually like one negative, one beneficial modifier, and then they've got the weekly stratagems.
No, it sounds like the Space Marines are sipping some of that liberty.
Yeah. The weekly stratagems are they're hard. They are pretty much, it's like all negative modifiers, maybe like two, or it's at least like two negative modifiers and one good modifier.
Oh God.
And like the one I played, you couldn't see more than 30 meters in front of you. It was pitch black outside of 30 meters in front of you, called Shadow in the Warp.
That's terrifying.
And like all the enemies, they can see you just fine, but like you can't see past 35 meters or 30 meters. And you're just like, what is going on? So
Oh my God.
that was pretty brutal.
That's like N64 rendering distance.
Yeah, pretty much.
Should have called it like Dinosaur Hunter mode.
Right, Turok.
Yeah. Superman 64 mode. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. The team that I was playing with, we got through it, but man, was it interesting.
Oh God.
To say the least.
We'll probably be playing that some after the show tonight, so we'll be there and figure it out. So
yeah.
So much death. All right. Well, for me as well, I've been playing Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Finally, the Switch 2 edition after Jennifer let me get it back.
Relinquished command.
Yeah, she played it for a good couple hours today. I had to go have lunch with a friend of mine, so I set her back up in the game room and left my Switch 2 here. And she played it the entire time I was gone for hours. She just absolutely loves it. But I've been exploring a lot of the levels, going in, playing through it once normally, getting what I get. And then after it tells you what all the parts are, I'll go back if I didn't already figure them out and finish getting everything as I go through. And I've done that through most of it. I think for where you said you were, I'm like one stage ahead of you just for a little bit, but that's about it. But I'm really liking
some of those you wouldn't think to do, like the first boss, you're supposed to go through his legs.
Well, it's some of the stuff's not that bad because if you've already got the enhanced items, you're just tearing through some of them. You're just like, all right.
I know the tree was annoying though, because like, don't get hurt. I'm like, because those random coconuts from the sky would come down so fast. It'd be the only thing that hits me every time.
I'm only doing the new levels they added for that because like the tree hasn't come up yet. It doesn't have the little level marker on it that it was just the original, which I did all those already.
Yeah, so I'm playing the game fresh, so as soon as I'm done doing all the regulars, the forgotten the star-crossed world stuff pops up.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah, I've already.
And then I'm like, okay, I can't go to the next world until I do all the purple ones too.
I didn't want to start the whole thing over again, so I just was doing the new levels as they popped in and just doing that.
Yeah, there's no boss stories that I know of yet, but
I mean, I'm still going to go back and mess with some of them because I'm probably going to try and do some of the boss rushes. They added more of those, and kind of work with it on that because that is a challenge. Good God, that is a horrific part of Kirby for that. Beyond that, I've been playing Silksong. I went ahead and broke down and bought that yesterday for $20, and then ended up talking with another friend of mine online, and he was iffy about getting it, not because he could afford it, but because he thought it was kind of difficult. And I was like, I enjoy talking games with you. So I just bought it for him. I was like, cool, I took the choice out of your hands. So he's like, all right, I guess I have it now. So I'll have to find out from him and see how he's liking it.
Yeah, they said if you're not too lore hungry, you can still play it without having played the first one.
I played the first, but I never finished it because some of these games are like that. Like I can really enjoy them, but I may not have gone through all of it because it does get annoyingly difficult sometimes. Like, oh my God.
And they apologized for breaking every single store at the same time.
That was hilarious.
Steam, PSN, Xbox, and eShop. So that was cool. And they got review bombed in China because their translation wasn't very good. So they are patching that to fix that because they said people in China said it read pretty poorly.
Well, they found out one of their translators was not telling him what he was doing, and he decided to rewrite the story how he thought it should be instead of doing what it was supposed to be and writing just a terrible screenplay. And everybody hated it, but they didn't know, they couldn't read it. So yeah. If Steam had not separated out the reviews by languages, they said it would have pretty much cratered their review worldwide. So thankfully that didn't happen.
Steam
I have to say,
one.
Yeah. I have to say the game itself is absolutely gorgeous. I'm playing it on the Switch too.
120 hertz.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm playing it handheld most of the time, so it could be, but I love the fact, and I was talking with Chase before the show about this. It's one of those games I would consider overly animated, and that's not a knock against it. Like, I like when some games really put in those little details everywhere. It's one of the reasons I really enjoyed like Street Fighter 3, the Third Strike, because those games have so many frames of animation and little details in there, and a lot of the SNK fighters
I
do
also
that
wish
too.
that Shadow Labyrinth was more animated like Hollow Knight.
To a point, I kind of do like Shadow Labyrinth's take on it. I don't want every game to look like that.
It's just that theirs is very puppetry.
And it kind of feels like that's part of the aesthetics because it's almost like the Pac-Man animation where it's lower frames doing stuff.
Maybe.
And that's kind of what it felt like to me. But regardless, the sound design is absolutely phenomenal in this game. Like hearing people like singing and the little echoes and the sounds, like it works really well. But part of why I ended up buying it on the Switch 2 as well and breaking down for that is the HD Rumble 2 implementation. There's so many little details they added for that, including one that I'd read about beforehand, talking about like being able to feel the rain, like when you're in a storm. And I was like, okay, I want to try this. I love HD Rumble. I know people complained about it on the original Switch, but like so many games did continue to use it. People just quit paying attention to it.
Wonder if anybody's mad that they didn't get any Wii U codes for the second one.
Probably not. The fact that they actually gave the original people that backed them a choice between Switch or PC and still gave it to them, I was like, that's awesome. Like that's so much more. So I can't argue with that part. Beyond that, I also was playing Helldivers 2 with Jeremiah, a friend of mine, working on leveling stuff up. Still trying to get you two to come back in so you can help me here because I want to get my stuff back. I missed my little taser gun. I did find it on one of the levels and ended up killing somebody. So nothing has changed on that. They got in front of me. Shouldn't have been there. Electricity went zap. And Jeremiah literally went, just popped. It's like, oh shit, my bad. Because he's new to the game. This is his first time playing it. So he's got a higher level because he's been just running through it with people.
Yeah.
But I had more experience because we played it so much. So it's been kind of funny going through doing that. And I've been teaching them how to do certain tricks and, you know, as we're fighting different stuff, how to kill things. But it's great. They patched everything, which I knew they were going to. Like we joked about that Helldivers 2 launch experience for Xbox where it's completely broken on day one. But within a week, they had it fixed. Like it plays just fine. We had no problem with crossplay. I think we talked about this before. The only issue I had was I had to team kill a guy because he had gotten into our game. We thought he was like, we had another friend join. We thought he was with him, but he was just some dude that was there. And it's one of those guys that he'll join a match and then just go hide somewhere and just let everybody else do the work so he gets the points.
Oh.
And he went and got a couple samples and then rocketed him, like used this teleport thing to get on top of a building and just stayed there. But he was right where you enter the codes. Like you have to get the sensor data and then walk over and enter the code of the computer. And I was like, cool, I got the sensor data done. He's already at the code. He can go ahead and do it. And nothing happened. And I'm like waiting and waiting. I said, fine. I had to run all the way over there and found him on top of the building. And I put the code in and realized nobody knew him. He's just sitting there. So I broke out my electric gun and just blew him up. And we ended up having to bring him back a little bit later because we had to bring back one of us. And he immediately tried to team kill everybody twice, like calling down strikes right on us with no enemies around.
Surprised you didn't kick him.
So we blew him up again and then just left him. So, and then right at the end of it, we were waiting for the ship to come back. We had to call back one more person. So he came back. So we made sure right before we got on the ship, we blew him up again and all left. And then we just booted him and went to my ship and went and played somewhere else. And we're just like, all right. I'll explain to Jeremiah at that point, here's how you lock other people out so you don't get randos. Because I don't mind randos sometimes. Like we've had a few good ones join us in Helldivers 2. But it's ones like this I cannot stand. Like just freaking play the game, man. That's the fun of it. So, picked up a bunch of other games this week other than Silksong. I also managed to get Star Wars Outlaws, which I then had to, and we talked about this on the Discord. Somehow my kid brought it back still in the security box from Walmart. He had the receipt. We bought it, but it was still in the damn thing. I couldn't get it off with magnets, so eventually I used Steven's other suggestion of a hammer, punched right through that damn thing and got it. So I'll be playing that. And then my Daemon Ex Machina Titanic Scion Collector's Edition came in. I completely forgot I had ordered that because it was before the Switch 2 came out. I just got a notification from Best Buy. Your game's ready to pick up. I went, oh, yeah, that's today. So I went and picked that up. It's a healthy sized box for those listening. I'm showing the box itself. It's pretty good size with like soundtracks and art books and stuff in here, which not too
fun
bad.
fact, Helldivers 2 sold more on Xbox than it did on PlayStation at launch. By 300,000 copies.
Damn. That's I mean, as people playing, that's all that matters. So the last thing I wanted to point out is I did finally get, because we all know I love my Transformers. I found my Transformers the Movie 86 series Megatron that finally came in, and I am super happy with this guy. I've got him, I'm showing him on the video for those listening. People were complaining because he doesn't turn into a gun, because modern toys, there's no way they're going to get away with having this guy turn into what look like an actual gun pretty well. Like, and they didn't want to have to put the orange tips and stuff on him. So they have him turning into a tank now, but I don't really care because the actual robot form is one of the most accurate I've seen. Like, it looks movie accurate. The only difference is the back of his legs kind of look like tank treads, but most of the time you can't even tell. So I'm
As a kid, I never understood why he turned into a gun, because I was like, who's firing him? Like,
usually Starscream or somebody.
But even then, I was just like, did you shrink?
Yeah, he did. That was a whole thing of matter changing where you could switch sizes, which is why, like, Blaster could become a radio you could pick up, or Soundwave could become a tape deck, things like that.
I wish, like, when he turned into a gun, Optimus Prime would just be like, goodbye. Yeah,
but I mean, he can, even with that, he's different sizes, because when Starscream's holding him, he's a giant cannon, but he could have a human hold him. Like, they had, a guy that was basically Cobra Commander firing him. And the funny thing is, like, the accessories he comes with his form in a gun. So I have Optimus Prime here holding it to actually use it. But here's Prime and Megatron from the 86 movie series, which I am super happy with how good these look. The whole line has been very accurate to the movies and stuff, and kind of become my display set. And I'm almost done getting all the Constructicons to make the new Devastator. So hopefully within the next couple of episodes, I can show that big bastard off, because I'm waiting on that one. All right, let's jump over to the group chat real quick for our last talk about a particular zombie game. All right. I don't know why that always does that. I make the sound effect and I hear someone echo when I say it. So, Zombie Army 4, we finished the story last week, and we now can move on to some of the DLC, but we're probably going to take a break on that for a little bit as we move over to do some of the Warhammer. But I had to mention Steven attempting to combine Zombie Army 4 and Avril Lavigne while we played, like, jokes about it in the most ridiculous ways.
He's pretty
good.
You
remember what I sang? Yeah. I know it was Skater Boy, but I don't know what I called him.
I don't remember the exact details. I just remember I paused the game to make the show notes so I could write down that little statement just so I wouldn't forget. Oh, it was truly a funny way to end the game on that one. But we absolutely murdered a lot of zombie Hitlers, which was great. It's always fantastic to shoot Hitler over and over again and stomp on his body.
The game was like, hey, you want a taste of World War Z?
Hitler. It's like, hey, you like shooting Hitler? here's a whole bunch of Hitlers to shoot. And I was like, all right, cool. Thank you. But it was a fun game. I'm looking forward to the DLC. I think we've got, Chase, you said like 4 or 5 DLC stories.
So I think there's 3 that's already unlocked for us.
Yeah.
And then there's another 4 if we get the other season pass, or if you buy the packs individually. But yeah, so
I usually wait until there's a sale because even $6 is asking a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to look and see. Once it goes on sale, we might pick those up. We still got a bunch, like 3 or 4 more stories is a lot to play through.
I gotta save my money for ZZZ, you know?
You have a problem.
I have to give them $15 a month.
It's not like we have like other games to play, like Warhammer, Helldivers, or I think there's another zombie game called World War Z, or probably another zombie game after that.
We have a lot of zombie games.
There's another zombie game we used to play called State of Decay. We did
Toxic Commando looks freaking amazing, so that's another zombie game that we'll play once that comes out, and then we'll just probably find another zombie game that.
I do want to get
play
back
a lot of zombie games. Okay.
Yeah, I need to get back into State of Decay too. I didn't really enjoy that one.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it's another zombie game that we played.
Yeah,
we like zombies.
Apparently we do. Just shooting a lot of zombies. Oh my god, we have a problem. All right, there you go. Let's jump into our news for today. Most of it's just kind of talking about some interesting stuff. So let's see what happens. So first up, Disney has been ordered by the Federal Trade Commission, or the FTC, to pay $10 million to settle allegations that the company allowed personal data to be collected from kids.
Oh no.
Yeah, on the FTC page is listed that Disney will also be required to implement a program to review whether videos posted to YouTube should be designated as made for kids. So the gist of it is Disney was making videos aimed towards kids, but putting them up as just general audience, which meant while kids were mostly watching it because parents would go and see Disney or kids would see Disney and watch it, they were then collecting that metadata from these children, which I think under 13, you're not allowed to, because they didn't label it as being made for kids, even though it inherently was. And I think the result of this, Steven, you said it best on the Discord, when you just put a little GIF that just said drop in the bucket. Like Disney's just all right.
They reach into their pocket and they're like, here's this, what I found on the ground. Here's 10 million.
Right. Here's another extra 10 million just for what we're going to do next, probably. Like, let's just add to it.
I personally hate the videos that are designated for kids because you can't share them.
Really? Didn't know that.
They gray out the share button. So when it's even like a cartoon or something that you want to show somebody, like, look at this, it's coming out. No, it's for kids, so you can't.
Damn. I guess you can't even really get the link to it and share that?
No.
Like, oh, okay.
They make it like you have to watch it here and now. Go away. I'm like,
I never liked a lot of that stuff, but I don't know. I think we're all in agreement. Like Disney's just gonna be like, all right, cool, whatever. I don't care. Like we'll continue doing it without a problem. So they have too much money. That's all these fines are, is just a slap on the wrist for them. It'll hurt other people, but it won't do jack shit to them on this one. So, all right. So moving on from that one here. This one I've kind of waited for a while, but Analogue has finally shown at least a few seconds of footage for the upcoming Analogue 3D FPGA N64 system, which, mind you, the system has seen multiple delays, with the most recent pushing it back to sometime later this year, Q4, as they put it, for 2025. It's selling for $250. That's before shipping, tax, and all that stuff. That's without a controller, which is an extra $30. But we're already like 2 delays into the system, and we're just now seeing it play anything, which is mind-blowing to me, because if they were planning on releasing it earlier, you think we would have seen something by now proving it still worked. People were very iffy about it because they would delay and then they would keep repeating, well, if you don't like the delay, you can cancel it, and show them how to cancel it. And it's like, are you trying to get people to cancel because you're like, oh, we fucked up, this doesn't work, we need to make everybody cancel now? Like, get us out of this. But it's working. It looks nice. You can play N64 games in 4K. They showed 1080 snowboarding, which is the only game we saw so far.
Was it in 1080?
I don't know. It was in a video, so
Oh.
could have been in 4K. 1080 and 4K is kind of
4K
ironic,
snowboarding.
right? I just, Steven, I know you're the other big collector here, probably bigger collector than even I. You have a collection that does not make any rational sense at all. I am jealous, you son of a bitch. But is this something you'd be considering to get or even looking at?
No, I have the Polymega, so I already have all the systems at my fingertips, and I'm more than happy with that. I've already seen Switch, upgrade their things so you can play it through their, all cleaned up, and I'm like,
Right.
that's good enough for me. I don't see how seeing Turok 1 in 4K is going to make anything better, or seeing pixels even more pixelated and having to use filters is any better. So for me, it was just more about preservation, because my Polymega not only allows me to, when you put in the cartridge, you can just install it to your system, so then you don't need the cartridge. So it worked great for Snatcher and everything else to have.
Right.
Like, it's not an emulated copy, it's the copy. You can't use ROMs on it, so you can't mess with the system like that. And I'm eventually going to get their light guns, because it works with every single light gun supported game on every system, so it's like universal.
Okay.
It's like, I like what you guys are doing. It was a long time coming for it to come out, but I was like, now that it's out, I'm really happy with it. So when I see this analog stuff and like the misters and stuff, I'm like, there are people out there who want it as sharp as possible, and I was like, I respect that, but that's too many systems laying around. I needed a all in one, like the Polymega.
The reason I didn't go with the Polymega is I've got so many other things that can do emulation, so I wasn't super worried about that. And you can get cartridge adapters to just dump your games, play it on a computer, or do whatever. I like the FPGAs because it is emulating the hardware on that level and then actually playing the games how they're physically supposed to interact. But it's potato. Like, it's however you want to play the games, enjoy them. There's nothing wrong with you playing it that way, just like there's nothing wrong with me playing it this way. We're playing the games. That's all that matters. I am curious to try this one because I do like some of the features. Because it outputs in 4K, you can use the CRT filters, but it's more of a technical curiosity, because like Chase and I, we were, once again, when we were talking before the show, we're kind of joking about this because he was like, oh, Jeremy's going to spend money? Like, Jeremy's going to buy something he may not actually need, because I have an RGB modded N64 that I built that I then run through my RetroTink 4K, which was also not cheap to get. And it kind of looks basically the same as what this Analogue's putting out. I'm getting a 4K output. It's scaling it properly. I can do all this stuff. So I'm not going to lie. It is a technical curiosity for me to want to get it, because I love FPGAs. I like the idea behind them and how they work. And plus, it's an easy convenience. I could just bring it in here, set it up to stream or do something, and I don't have to bring the whole rig in here. I could do something similar with like the Super Nintendo and Genesis. I got the FPGA systems for those, and they do a lot of cool stuff too. So I don't know. I didn't get the initial run of this. If it becomes available later on and it actually is proven to work, because that was my biggest thing. I needed to see evidence of what it was doing first, and it really worried me they did not show anything. No screenshots, no video, nothing for a long time now, until very recently. So once it comes out, if it gets good reviews and people like it, I might consider getting one later. I am now kind of intrigued about the Polymega just because you said the damn light guns work. Well,
because they specifically made these light guns, and they've been posting that you buy the light guns once,
mm-hmm.
You can buy 2 of them at a discount.
Nice.
And then it works with all the PlayStation, Saturn, PlayStation, Saturn. There is no N64 ones. Nintendo,
Super
Genesis, Nintendo, anything that used any
Master System
form of light gun works with these 2 guns. So I was like, I think that's awesome.
Because I have a collection of light guns. I specifically keep a CRT in the game room because it's nice playing some of the old games how they were originally intended. It is a nice look to it, and it's fun. But I use it a lot for light gun games, Duck Hunt, Time Crisis, stuff like that. All those light guns are in there just so my wife and I can play them, because Amanda loves light gun games. Just absolutely loves them. That might be the one thing that gets me to consider the Polymega going, okay,
there's that
maybe.
Kickstarter with Namco's Blessing right now where they're making Time Crisis for modern TVs. It's not consoles. It's just the gun con itself is coming back with all the Time Crises on them.
Okay, that
so I've been following news of that Kickstarter. I haven't been following the Kickstarter, but been following news about it, and it looks promising. So
next time you find some stuff about that, add that to the Discord. I would love to look into that more.
Okay.
And then whenever you get your light guns in for the Polymega, I'd like to see some stuff on that too, because that's definitely kind of the point of interest for me specifically.
Yeah.
So that does work on modern TVs.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's the big issue with that, of the old tech.
It was one of those things that people didn't believe them, and then they were at a convention and they were like, any game that supports one that is on the Polymega, put it in right now. And they played Duck Hunt with people. They played Shooting Range. They played G Police. They played Point Blank. Like they're like, if, as long as it uses some sort of light gun, it works. So I was like, oh yeah.
Okay. I would love to try that for House of the Dead. Because this system, Polymega doesn't play Dreamcast, right? That's probably above what it does.
I can't remember if they said they were not going to go that far in or not.
Yeah.
Dreamcast, they're still toiling if Dreamcast will be where it stops.
Because I think right now it's PlayStation is the top end. PlayStation and Saturn, like that generation, and N64 is kind of where it maxes out. That makes sense. Yeah. Because there wasn't too much after that. Dreamcast was kind of a last hurrah for some of it. PS2 had some really good stuff.
And then anything they have the rights to
was separate.
Any games they have the rights to, they've been releasing physically on the collections of them on CDs. So I've been buying those too.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, cool. You have intrigued me now.
You had one that was just like, here's every version of I think it was all the bases loaded, and then it was either that or RBI Baseball, and then another one was like, here's a bunch of the different fighting games from this publisher. I'm like, okay, I'll take it.
I do like fighting game collections. All right, let's go on to our next little bit here. So this one is a general Nintendo Switch Online update, because we've had a few kind of fun things added to this. Starting off with the Game Boy Advance, now being called the Game Boy Advance Nintendo Classics.
G-Bank.
Oh, God, you're right. I stopped and look at that. I'm like, Gabank.
Gabank.
Gabank. Yeah. Are you down with Gabank? Yeah. I'm going to clip that.
Bank on it.
Oh, no. So they updated Game Boy Advance, changing the name. It's now only a few systems are still using the old Nintendo Switch Online title. But now you can play 1080p handheld on the Switch 2 with Game Boy Advance games, as well as if you hold the analog stick off to the side in any direction when you're starting it up, you get the boot animation for the Game Boy Advance now, which is just kind of a fun little Easter egg. You don't need it, but hey, it's there. I'm cool with that. It's almost like where you could do the different GameCube startups on the GameCube one, depending on which button you're holding. After that, we had added Forsaken 64 to the Nintendo 64 Nintendo Classics Mature 17 Plus, which that's the first title that's been added to that in about a year. But this also kind of leads into the rumors, because you remember a while back we talked about it, where someone took a screenshot from one of the Nintendo Directs where they were showing off the new games, and they identified games in the background based on the blurred image in the menu. And people were like, oh, it doesn't, they didn't believe it because it was like Donkey Kong 64, Super Smash Brothers 64, and Forsaken 64.
Well, this one, there was a new leak that happened that in one of the screenshots it showed Forsaken, Donkey Kong 64, and Rayman 2 for the 30th
That was the other one, yeah. It was Rayman 2 and Smash Brothers.
It showed those three, and everybody's just like, well, now that Forsaken's out, but they didn't see Smash Brothers anymore. They just saw those three boxes. So people are like,
oh, okay. I thought it was all four together. I'll have to go back and look.
It's been like a little box of three, and I was like, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool. Like the first one came true, so could we see the other ones? Donkey Kong 64, I could see, since we just got Donkey Kong Bonanza, give that a little bit of time and then release it. Kind of makes sense. Smash Brothers, I could see as an anniversary thing, because I don't think we're going to get a Switch 2 Smash Brothers for a while. I would hope we would maybe get a Switch 2 edition of Ultimate. That would be great. I would 100% buy that. I don't care if it's $100. I'll buy it with all the DLC included if they do it. They probably won't, because they didn't do that for Zelda. They made you buy the DLC separate, and that sucked. But I'd be down for it. So, and lastly, we had Chibi Robo was added to the Nintendo GameCube Nintendo Classics for the Switch 2. So if you like roaming around a house with an absolutely weird family while you're cleaning and then talking to toys at night because Toy Story was popular at the time, this game is for you. And you should actually play it. It's a lot of fun. It is a great game.
It's Zelda without the fighting.
Pretty much. Like, you can shoot at some stuff.
That's what he said he wanted to make.
It's an absolutely adorable game. Chase, you ever played Chibi Robo?
No, I never played Chibi Robo.
Really? It's expensive on GameCube now, so this might be a lot of people's easier way to afford it.
I didn't actually have a GameCube.
You poor child. I love the GameCube. It was one of my favorite systems back then. Like, I know everyone was like, "Oh, the PS2 is great," or the Xbox. And I was like, GameCube's nice. I like it. I was always happy with it. So we'll have to see what other Nintendo Switch Online updates we get. We still have the rumored Direct coming in the next week or two.
Next week.
Oh, next week is the rumors now.
It's going to be next week, and 3 titles are going to have the number 7 in them.
What?
That's what they said. So that means they'll probably announce maybe Final Fantasy VII Intergrade as well.
Oh, it's release date? Because they've already...
Well, no, Remake is coming, but then there's Intergrade, which is the DLC extra.
Oh. I thought this was the DLC for that one was already there, not the second release. Too.
But everybody's just like, 7's going to be...
Because I'm pretty sure the announcement was originally Final Fantasy VII Intergrade, which was the expanded, like the PS5 edition that came out after PS4.
Unless it's part 2 already.
Yeah, that's what makes me wonder about that, because that's almost announcing it too
3
fast.
titles with 7 in it. What could it be?
One of them is probably 007. They're probably just going to show a trailer for that. And then Killer 7, of course. Duh.
That would be great, actually.
Yeah, great. Killer 7 was such a trip. That was such a weird game. Fun, though. Anyways, speaking of 007, Sony State of Play 007 First Light gameplay deep dive. Did you guys watch this at all? Because I did end up going back and watching it because I was kind of intrigued by this game. But it's made by IO Interactive, the makers of the Hitman series. They're developing the new James Bond, which is it's a younger James Bond who has not earned his 00 status yet. But you're working towards it while earning the art of spycraft. Go ahead, Stephen.
I watched clips of it. I do like the fact that you, unlike Hitman, you cannot just kill. Everything has to be by happenstance, like something just happens to explode, something just happens to catch on fire. So everything is it just so happens. So I thought that was very neat that you could do that.
Yeah, if people attacked you, it would actually come up saying like license to kill would pop up. And at that point, you're free range to be like, all right, y'all fucked up. I'm going to kill you now.
As Chase might remember from Hitman Absolution, they brought back the, ignore me, but it's a meter now. And once that meter's gone, once that meter fills up because it does not go back down, then they don't believe you anymore. So you get ways out. Hitman Absolution made it that you would scratch your head and everybody would ignore you.
Yeah.
And then 007 makes it where you can just be like, oh, I'm here to fix that light bulb, and they'll believe you. But it'll use up a lot of your like 007-ness. And once it fills up, they're like, we don't believe you anymore. So I was like, that's pretty neat.
I liked what I watched of this. I thought the mechanics and stuff were really nice. It felt very much to me as I watched it as a reskinned Hitman. And I don't mean that in like a derogatory way. It's just, I mean, it's made by the people that make Hitman. It frickin's going to feel like Hitman. That makes sense. But a lot of the mechanics and stuff, and the more I thought about it, I was like, that actually makes sense. it should feel like a Hitman because that's a lot of what Bond is doing. You're just not as psychopathic a killer. You're just a psychopathic killer that's also a womanizer. There's a difference.
If we want to be derogatory, the Switch 2 version will be on a keycard.
Yes. Damn it. Which I'm not surprised because Hitman was on there. I can't say shit. I just bought a keycard game yesterday with Star Wars.
Yeah,
so.
but there's something exciting about that.
We'll talk about it. That's for later. When I was watching it, I was kind of more intrigued, and it makes me want to go back and give Hitman another shot. I've tried a couple of them, and it never quite clicked with me. I think Hitman 3 on the Series X or Xbox One. I can play it on my Series X. And I have to see if I got any other ones from previous.
Well, if you have 3, it's now been updated, kind of like World War Z was updated. It's been updated to World of Assassination or whatever.
Okay.
Just like the Switch 2 version is just called that now because it cycles through a lot of the main targets again where you can go after Jean-Claude Van Damme and such, because they had one until I think it was the end of June or July, where you could go after Mad Mikkelsen in the Casino Royale setting for 007. And if you beat that, it took data and it said, okay, now when you play First Light, we'll give you an exclusive item in that game. I didn't do that, but hopefully they'll bring it back right before First Light comes out or something.
That would be nice. But yeah, I'm looking at it. The only Hitman I do have is 3 for Series X, so I'll have to give that a try.
Was my favorite because of the scratch your head, rub your head and everybody forgets who you are. I loved that because it made things a little bit more easier to do.
What was that one on? PS4 or?
That was 360.
360, okay. I'll see if I can find that one to kind of give it a go. I don't know. Maybe if I give it another shot.
The only one that was nice to me. And then more recent one had a sniper co-op mode that Chase and I played. But boy, is it
really
very, very specific. Whatever you learned about in Sniper Elite, unlearn it, because now now it's timing. How do I shoot the guy that they fall correctly, that nobody will find the body off a balcony or into the trees, or will they fall backwards if you hit them in the perfect spot? So you had to be a lot more patient. And then towards the end, they were like, the other one's going to get in the car. You're going to have to shoot him like as he's getting in the car or something like. So a lot of that was like, unlike Sniper Elite, we had to super talk to each other and be like, you need to follow that guy with your sniper scope and I'll follow this target. So it was a lot harder.
It must have been difficult because Chase, I love you, man, but you go into like, I don't talk mode. He just stopped talking. I must go kill and just say nothing.
No, this one he went into Ghost Recon mode. So he was like, got a couple tangos.
Yeah. That was honestly, that was a chef's kiss. If they made an entire game just based off that mode, like, oh shit, sign me
which Hitman was that?
Which one was it? It was on PS4 originally, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I think it was part of 3, and it was like a free download that you could try out.
It was 3, wasn't it?
But I think they put it in the full game. I'll have to look at it up again. But
yeah.
It was something we could both download for free and try out, and that's why it was cool. We could do that one stage, and it was like it was a demo for it, and it was just you do the one stage co-op, and you see how you like that. And we were like, wow, this is neat, but do we want to play the Hitman game to get to more of these or not?
I'll have to install it and give it a shot then. I'm kind of curious. Not even being ironic of saying give it a shot. I'm just guess I'll do it.
Give it a shot.
But I have to say, like the state of play, which ended up showing for all the systems, they kind of did their own little thing. It was very weirdly titled as a state of play. Because I don't know why. I guess Sony just wanted to have it come up as their thing. I watched it later where it completely separated from it, and it was like whatever. But I'm intrigued. I actually want to try the game out. I liked what I saw. I liked the driving mechanics of how they were doing stuff, even though that car should have broken so many times. Like they tried to Dukes of Hazzard it over and over again. It's like your drivetrain, your axles, your everything. You should have died like 3 times over just because gravity and that car should not survive. I don't care if it's an Aston Martin. It is a crumple on the ground. Bond and that lady should be dead corpses squeezed out like you're squeezing an orange and juicing it. But yeah, they somehow survive it. Whatever. Oh man.
I mean, if there's any developer that was going to make a James Bond game, like they picked the right developer.
Oh yeah.
I can see that. Like I am.
It was either going to be them or Rebellion, I would think.
Yeah.
Because Ubisoft doesn't know how to make games anymore.
No.
It's kind of funny. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, let's bitch about some AI again. So AI startup Fable Studios has announced they plan to reconstruct lost footage of Orson Welles' 1942 film The Magnificent Ambersons. And basically they're wanting to recreate and re-add 43 minutes of lost footage that was cut from the original release edition.
Are they going to add in Ice Cube as well?
Who knows? They could. The company's CEO, Edward Sachi, wants to use the footage to fix Wells', as he quotes, ruined masterpiece. And then the AI tech will bring it back to life, which is a huge claim to basically do a soulless add-on for a movie that was already released. The more I read into it, they talked about while none of the cut footage is known to have survived because this movie was trimmed down from its original run, they do have Wells' original shooting script, which was archived along with some of his notes of how he wanted the movie cut. So at least there's that, but I don't feel like that's enough to really recreate footage with
Just
this kind of
feed that
stuff.
into ChatGPT. No one will be able to tell
Oh, God.
how many fingers everybody has. Just don't make them eat spaghetti.
I was about to make that same damn joke. Beat me to it, Steven. So the movie was originally 131 minutes long, but after Wells had to fight with the studio, it ended up being cut down to this original 88-minute release. And Wells did kind of complain about that they kind of gutted it to have to do it. And that's why this guy thinks we can go back and recreate that stuff. But I don't feel like they should be able to just go in and redo that because the original creator doesn't have a say in this in any means. Or any of the other actors being portrayed. Like, it's more than just Wells. There's a bunch of people involved. But on the actual Wells side of it, David Reeder of Reeder Brand Management, they handle the estate for Beatrice Wells, who was a family member of his. They said they were not informed of the company's plans to work on the film, so they heard about it by the announcement and got surprised as well. They also noted they do maintain approvals for AI tech for licensed voice models of Wells for commercial uses. So that's why you sometimes see a commercial that might have Wells' voice in it or something, which in itself is kind of back and forth because it's not something he ever would have known about or agreed to. Because the last movie he ever was in, ironically, was the 1986 Transformers movie that this Megatron is based from. Because he played Unicron as his very last role before he died.
I'm pretty sure, though, if they're like, we'll pay you in booze, he'd be like, you do what you need to do.
Maybe. I could see that. God dang it. But from the Variety article that I read this from, Reader went on, he said, quote, "We saw the various articles on Ambersons today. In general, the estate has embraced AI technology to create a voice model intended to be used for voiceover work with brands. That said, this attempt to generate publicity on the back of Wells' creative genius is disappointing, especially as we weren't even given the courtesy of a heads up. While AI is inevitable, it still cannot replace the creative instincts resident in the human mind, which means this effort to make Ambersons whole will be a purely mechanical exercise without any of the uniquely innovative thinking or a creative force like Wells." So I wanted to get y'all's thought on this, of this company trying to fix this movie by just adding it in. Like, this kind of feels almost like where they tried to expand the Wizard of Oz for that stupid globe thing, and they wanted to just fill it in without any context. Steven, we'll start with you. Your thoughts on this whole mess, because I know you got shit to say.
Usually I'm okay until they say the word fix, because I also don't like it when people go in and mod games and say, or fan translate games and say they fixed it. Like they removed something that was originally in it because they didn't like it. Because I don't feel that that's in everybody's best interest. It's in their best interest.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in this fact, as soon as he used the F word, fix, he's now saying it's more like it's his opinion, and he's not saying I'm doing this because this is what the people who will actually pay for this would want. So, it's one thing to kind of get the blessings and get the hype behind it, but when you get the 25th letter of the alphabet Y, it's like, okay, why are you doing this? And it hasn't gotten better. This just reminds me of the fact that that one I'm going to use quotations here, air quotes, news reporter interviewed a dead kid that the parents recreated with AI to interview about a school shooting. So basically, an AI had to answer questions for a person with no soul because the kid is gone.
Yeah.
And I was just like, how disgusting are we going to get with AI where people aren't like, because the parents could do it. I was like, but he was of age that it's something that should be like, you can't do that. You can't just go to the next of kin and be like, yeah, we'll allow that to be recreated. So there's all these like horrible walls of like that, or lines people are crossing that just haven't been established. And it's just funny that people like Muskrat was against this in the beginning, but then somebody gave him a bag of cash and he's like, never mind, carry on. And he made Grok, which Grok is bad enough that you can just say, I'd like to see that person naked, and it'll show you that. So it'll just create it for you. So it's disgusting. So that's not helping. But I also wanted to point out as well as that there is light at the end of the tunnel, because the Anthropic, a company that actually used pirated copies of books to train a chatbot Claude without permission, has now settled a class action lawsuit and has to pay $1.5 billion to those authors, as well as The Atlantic just came up with a search tool for movie and television writing called LibGen. It's the pirated books database that if an author finds their stuff on there, they can sue and get thousands of dollars. They already said that. That's why they made this database. And even the OpenAI creators are like, please don't use this, because if everybody on this list comes after us, we will go bankrupt. And I was so sad to hear that I shared it and I reposted it and I told everybody I knew about it that they made this search tool, because I was like, perfect. Thank
you. Yep. Hopefully they won't have to pay for a lot of this. Chase, did you have anything you wanted to add to it?
I just got 2 words. Good luck. I can't see a outcome where this is going to go well. More than likely.
Yeah, there's already some artists who have gotten to learn about coding that they've had it that if anybody tries to do AI of their art, it adds like a fart or something obscene on there that the person doesn't like. So it adds like a poop emoji on any art that they try to use their art of, and it doesn't appear on any of the original stuff. So he was just like, if you see a poop, it's not mine. And I was like, that is amazing. So people are learning how to fight back against AI by now training their stuff, saying if anybody dips into this, it gets confused. And I've followed a few accounts now that one guy who decided just to show how bad ChatGPT is, he would be like, can you give me 30 road signs and tell me what they mean? And the AI couldn't even understand left and right. I was like, oh, geez.
Oh, fantastic. I think the last thing I wanted to talk about with this is you got the fact of people taking original art and trying to modify it or add, and I'm air quoting the hell out of add because I don't think you're adding shit to this. But at what point do these people try and claim that this is now part of their creation, that they have helped make this, or they want their name kind of coattailed on Orson Welles' stuff? Because they were saying, what if they try and release this and that's their cut of it? Are they going to have to be listed on there as a creative force behind it? Even though they really didn't do shit, they're just adding this digital vomit onto an already existing movie.
Yeah, because they've said, even accomplished author Brandon Sanderson said that people who do that are not artists, they're art directors. So you should be labeling yourself as such. And you should not be putting your name on there. You can just be like, I directed it. I directed the art, but I didn't make it. I didn't create any of it.
Yeah, you can basically put on your, you know, your paperwork that you're good at WordPerfect. You can type some words. That's
I
about
bought
all
the
you've
frame
got.
for the painting, but I didn't paint that.
Right. And it's not like I love watching. There's a guy on YouTube that goes around to thrift stores and buys old paintings, just random paintings he finds. And then he does paint and add the most ridiculous, hilarious things onto them. Like he took this scene by a riverbank and a mountain and stuff that someone had made, like one of those cheesy paintings you find. And he added like this dead dinosaur, like rotting in there. And this other one, all this stuff added to it. And it's like, that is taking it and modifying and adding your own touch, but it's actual art. It's not AI being added onto it. You're actually changing that for how it works. Like that is how it's supposed to grow, not just saying a computer added on there.
It's like artistic Mad Libs.
Right.
It's like what what's his name did to Kung Pao. He took a really old
that was hilarious.
He took a really old martial arts movie that nobody's ever heard of, and he made it his own because he did a lot of edits to that thing.
And there's a few movies like that. Airplane was originally a different film that they bought the rights to and basically copied it scene for scene and just made it into Airplane, and it's their take on it, and it's absolutely hilarious. They even gave the movie out for free because it was just the rights are out there. So I have it downloaded on my computer because I was like, I kind of want to watch this and see how close to Airplane it was. And it's really funny seeing scenes play out completely not funny. Like you expect all these jokes that Airplane had and nothing happens. And I'm like, well, damn it. I just want to watch Airplane now.
Surely you can't be serious.
Nope. And don't call me Shirley. So yeah, I don't think anyone using AI should have any rights to claim that they are additionally adding to or put their name on something. I enjoy like doing the podcast. There is probably thousands of hours of me recorded for video and audio and stuff. When I die, I don't want my family to use that and do that. Let what I did be what I did. Let people enjoy it as it is. And then I don't want my voice or my likeness used for shit like that. Go ahead, Steven.
I did want to mention one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
So a game that just came out for PlayStation and Switch, Everybody's Golf, which is basically the return of Hot Shots Golf from a third company, not the original first two.
I think I know where you're going to go with this, and I have something to say about it, but go ahead.
Because it was very interesting, because I watched a review where the guy went kind of deep into it. And for some reason on Steam, it said the AI is used for the trees. Yep. But if you watch the beginning of the game, you can see that they made a proprietary engine that is basically called like Many Trees or something, that the engine creates various trees, to look different. So it's not AI, it's their engine that's learning to just create random trees. So it's just funny that like you go to Steam and you're like, oh, is that really what they did? And then like, actually, no, we didn't.
Which is funny because there's been so many games over the years, like where you could make environments. I think like SimCities and the other ones did it, where you'd paint the trees in and it would just systematically put trees in there, like based on algorithms and stuff, basically using AI to figure it out, not creating it, but you're just spraying a brush basically. It's generating
even Mario Paint allows you to take a stamp and put it into a spray, so you can spray the stamp.
Yeah,
everywhere.
And it'll randomize it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Photoshop does it all the time. I think a version of this tree software was used in movies and other stuff. Like it's been existing.
I was like, this is existing software. This is not AI. You didn't ask ChatGPT, please give me 100 trees.
Yeah, I'm glad you did catch the whole thing of that. I was kind of worried you saw just the AI part, because some people were seeing that and just reacting. They were just like, "Oh, it's AI."
Just one of those like odd things where like Steam generalized it, and then people who actually played the game and looked at each company logo that came up and said like, what kind of company name is Many Trees? And then they're like, oh, that's the engine.
That's what it's supposed to do. What the hell? Oh man. Another fun little bit of AI news I think we talked about maybe it was before the show, but the whole thing at Dragon Con, there was a guy that got caught selling AI art. And they have a very strict no AI art policy for everything. So they ended up kicking his butt out of the whole event midway through, and then left a sign on where his table was of why he was removed. And people kept leaving stuff like drawing actual drawings and like saying, thanks for kicking him out and getting rid of him. And like it became like this whole growing shrine. But I'm glad to see people pushing back against AI. Like, they're using it in such greedy and uncreative ways. Like it should be a tool used for legitimate purposes, not for trying to replace human creativity. Because I don't think...
like I read one in the medical field that they used AI to diagnose what kind of heart condition within like seconds to minutes, which before took like various tons and tons of research or tests. And then this one can just be like, nope, you've got this. And it's gone through so many testings that they're like, it's pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
There's only an idiot out there who probably won't let it get released, but it's there. It exists. So
because the whole purpose of AI is to be parsing through giant amounts of data. Yes. What would take months, years, or longer to dig through.
I made my PS3 do that.
Right. And I can't go into specifics, but part of my job deals with stuff like that. Like for actually taking this large amount of data and outputting certain results. Like that is a purpose of it. So I just want a universal translator. Use it for that. Come on, man. That's a smart way to use AI. Like that's all I want.
Translate on the fly, but do it properly, because you could really skew somebody's words if you're not careful.
Right? Yeah. Otherwise you get the Chinese translation of Silk Song. All right, let's go on to our next little bit here. So Ubisoft has talked about why they released Star Wars Outlaws on Switch 2 on a game keycard, and actually had a good reason, like a legit reason. So Ubisoft audio architect Rob Banton stated on social media, quote, Snowdrop relies heavily on disc streaming for its open world environments, and we found the Switch 2 cards simply didn't give the performance we needed at the quality target we were going for. When asked about and then later on, when asked about the cost of the carts, he continued, I don't recall the cost of the cards ever entering the discussion, probably because it was moot. The reason for this is, he said, I think if we designed a game for Switch 2 from the ground up, it might have been different. As it was, we'd built a game around the SSDs of the initial target platforms, which in this case was PlayStation 5, Series X and S, things like that. And then the Switch 2 came along a while later. In this case, I think our leadership made the right call. So basically they're saying that the Switch 2 cartridge, when you're reading data from it, is not fast enough to actually run this game properly. The internal memory on the Switch 2 is, or at least good enough for them to do it. And then the micro SD Express card is just fast enough to be able to handle it. So the digital format works, but the cartridge couldn't do it. So that's why they released it as a key card, because you're going to have to install it no matter what. I guess they just wanted to have that out there as a physical release. I still wonder, why couldn't they make a cartridge that installs, just like you have a disc that installs the game and goes from there? But I guarantee as soon as they had a warning like requires 20 gigs or whatever, somebody would flip out.
It comes down to the fact that with what we talked last episode, and I think there's a certain rush put on some of these games to be first this year. But by being first, they're making concessions. They're either, like Tim Sweeney said, they're either taking something stronger and that they already developed for and trying to pare it down, and they're not like doing base Switch 2 first. So I think we might see more of that next year, but this year we're still seeing a lot of them. We're looking at you, Madden, as well, where they're just like, let's just get it out and get it in people's hands, and we'll figure it out later.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see an improvement in that. But like, it's at least nice seeing, like, being honest about it. Going like, this is why we had to do this, because this is what it was designed for. We did not know about the Switch 2 when we made it. So we were developing it around this set of hardware, and that's what it was made for. I mean, that's kind of the clearest explanation I've seen so far. Once again, it kind of makes me wonder, like with Switch 1 cartridges, could you use those smaller cart sizes to just have an install type game where you put it in and it's there and you just install it? Which I know would lead to all kinds of confusion with the original Switch and so forth, or the cost of a Switch 2 cart. But I don't know. Do you think people would be able to handle that, or would it just cause more confusion?
Cause more confusion.
Of course it would. Everything costs more confusion. But all right, on to our other little bit of Ubisoft news around Star Wars Outlaws here. So an interesting situation has arisen after the launch of Star Wars Outlaws on Switch 2, where multiple online sites and personalities were giving the game a hard time by reporting on low frame rates, graphical issues, and more, including crashes and all kinds of things. Then turning around and apologizing after the release was surprisingly solid. I got to give credit to Steve Bowling from GVG, or Good Vibes Gaming. He did a good retraction on the whole issue, openly explaining how his previews were wrong, and they removed them to try and help stop the spreading of misinformation around the title's performance, before going into an updated and honest look at the release afterwards. But I at least am glad to see them make that call, going, hey, we base this off of what we saw from these preview builds. We made these accusations against the developers and other stuff of what was wrong. And then the game came out, and yeah, it good. Like, surprisingly good. Digital Foundry even looked at the game and were honestly surprised at the quality and performance of it on the Switch 2, even noting equal or even improved ray tracing implementations over the Series S release, which is kind of crazy for when you're just carrying that damn thing around. And then this has led to other ones that are now kind of jumping ahead because they've been making the same accusation about Elden Ring. We've talked about it recently, that Elden Ring is apparently running really bad, and they're worried about how its launch on Switch 2 is going to be. Now they're going, okay, we admit it's a pre-release. It could get better. In fact, they've been seeing builds that are running surprisingly better.
Say, like, I even saved a video to watch later that they were like, it's looking gorgeous.
I watched somebody playing it for a while, and I was like, I'd play that. Like, yeah, it's not as perfect as I'm sure it is on some bigger machine, but if I'm on a flight somewhere, I'd freaking play it. That's fine with me. But I'm glad to see. I find it kind of funny seeing this because people were wanting to hound on these so bad and find any bad port for Switch 2 to try and prove it was bad, because I think we've all seen people love to do this stuff. If anything goes wrong, they want to pounce on it and be like, look at us, we're pointing out the bad things. You shouldn't have this.
Rage baiting is a thing.
It is.
Yeah, I also find it kind of funny and kind of sad, but it's a mad world, so what are you gonna do?
I know, it's a key card game. I broke down and got it because I love me some Star Wars and I want to try it out, but it is what it is. Just so you also know, everything is tied to the cartridge this time. Capcom, you should pay attention. So when you put the game in, it downloads all of it, the DLC and everything. You get it all. No codes.
Only one of these games is not a key card.
Oh my God.
And that's Donkey Kong. These all have upgrades, so that's fine. We don't count those. But the rest of them, it's all key cards except for Donkey Kong.
I think I have 8 games on the Switch 2 now physically, and I think only 2 of my games are key cards. Everything else is an actual release, and almost most of them are actual Nintendo games. Daemon X Machina is not, obviously. Cyberpunk is one of the other ones. But Star Wars and Yakuza are the key cards I have. Because
if you're willing to wait until next year, I think it's February, for Sonic Crossworld Switch 2 physical edition, it will be on cart.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So they'll reward you for waiting longer. That's fine.
I'll probably wait for that one. I want to see how 007 runs on there before I decide how I want to get it. It kind of feels like that might be a Series X game for me, but I don't know if it
Well,
plays
no one
well.
said like Hitman ran bad, so I was like, First Light should be good too then.
I mean, I thought about trying Hitman out, like when I was thinking about that, and I was just probably gonna pick it up digitally if I end up doing it. But if I find it, like, part of why I got Star Wars on keycard is because I managed to get it cheaper than normal. I think I only ended up having to pay like $40, and I'm like, okay.
I just like the tongue in cheek stuff they released, because if you buy it for Switch 2, digitally or otherwise, you get the Mushroom Pack, which gives you a Mario-esque suit, but it also gives you a Luigi suit, so you can kill CEOs as Luigi.
Oh yeah, and Hitman. I may have to buy that.
people are like that was entirely unintentional, but but people were just like, but that's pretty funny. So they're running with it, but that was not their intent, type of thing. But I was like, that's hilarious.
Oh god, I'm gonna have to get that. That's great.
And it had some issues at first, but it got a patch that fixed the crashing, so it was good.
And that's kind of the benefit of the, I guess, digital release or keycard release, but the fact that those updates are just going to be applied to it automatically. So that's kind of a good or a bad thing, depending. All right. Well, we're skipping the speedrun tonight because we don't really have much. We're going to jump straight into the big question because it kind of continues the conversation we're already having in regards to Star Wars Outlaws. So, all right. So the question for tonight is, if an online personality or website puts out a story about a game or a piece of media that is later proven wrong because of their previous speculation, should they be inclined to remove the earlier statements or at least issue updates to them? Stephen, we'll start with you.
Updates, but
okay,
you need to change your metadata and you need to change your headlines. So when people search for it, they see that there's update in the title, not just it runs like ass. Because that's the problem, is you can have an update in your article and you can even have an update in your video, because you can edit it in saying, editor blah 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 here, actually I found out that blah 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 and it runs great, or we apologize. But if it's not in the title, or at the very least in the description, but at least the title, then it's completely out the window when people like look for the bad parts of it and they find the article that doesn't have the word update in the tagline, because that's what you see when you Google it. You see the article name first and then some of the body. Same thing with videos, is you see the thumbnail. So you have to update those. I've seen people like Mr. Beast update their thumbnail like 6 times, which I don't know why, unless it's the algorithm saying that he'll get more views if he keeps changing the picture. So I know it's not hard to do that. So
yeah, the thumbnails you can do. I don't think you can add footage to a video.
No,
you can take it away, but I don't know how you can add to it.
You can pull it down, but you can say you can change your title. You can change your description. So there's all these important things that when you're searching for it, is you can say update. So
right.
And
for actual
like,
articles,
watch my retraction video in the info, or say update second video for this game or something like that. But that's the most important part. I don't mind if they keep everything they've already said, but you have to make it searchable that people see the updates first and not just take the headline, because people do that. They run with headlines.
Well, the problem is AI does that, and a lot of people just look up AI news and it just spreads it faster.
Yeah, because I've asked AI stuff and it says there's no such game, and I'm like, right below it has a link to GameStop. So I was like, you guys are idiots. Or the computer's an idiot. So I'm all about that, but at least make it searchable, so that if you're not doing retractions, which sometimes take a lot more work, updates are really easy to do. Just update your metadata and update your taglines.
Okay. Chase, what about you? What are your thoughts on this question?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Swan in the sense that as far as the updates go, I've noticed that some places now, when they do updates to like articles, they actually put the updates at the top. So that's like one of the first things you see.
Yeah, that's so much better.
That's the best way to do it, because like you said, then, people might not make it all the way to the bottom to see the update. So they're only reading like the first couple paragraphs and then they're running with it. This gets to be a tricky thing, because it's kind of also like when we went back to the Digital Foundry thing we were talking about. I think the problem is that unfortunately I'm not necessarily a fan of saying that they should take down like their older videos or anything like that. I know that the guy did it, and I know the reason why he did it.
Right.
But I think the issue becomes that, like, you know, at the end of the day, if you say, like, for instance, with Star Wars Outlaws, if you see a preview build and it's running pretty, rough,
Right.
and
Which
as long as you're
some
being,
places.
yeah, and if you're just being honest about it and you're saying, I saw a preview build, it was running really rough. I don't know unless they polish it up, I'm probably not going to get it or something like that. That's objectively fine. You've said it's a preview build and you've stated the reasons why it was running rough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think then you should take that down just because, it might cause some confusion. Unfortunately, the problem is it's kind of like the whole thing with Digital Foundry. Unfortunately, the community tends to like hang on to things and like run with it. At the end of the day, that's not their fault. Like, if they're putting out objectively fine information, then that's all.
Yeah, they use it as ammo for console wars.
Well, I think for context, Chase, on this one, a lot of the articles were not just saying that it's like a preview build that was rough. They were saying like the developers are doing a terrible job. This looks horrible. Like they were digging into it. Like this game is hopeless and bad. And I was like,
yeah,
they really were making it out really bad. And because they came out and like, yeah, we felt like assholes because we're saying all this stuff about the developers and then finding out none of that was actually true. It was just, that was the build that got put out while they were making the rest of it.
Yeah. And that's just people rage baiting and they've got caught out. So that to me is a completely different issue. And it's a completely different, this is actually just a perfect example of like the really shitty side of YouTube culture right now is the fact that like we're, because not to like try to change the subject too much from the Star Wars Outlaws thing, but so Warhammer 40K kind of had a similar thing going on with it where because you used to have Space Marines. They were actually like really small miniature models. A Space Marine mini was actually like the same size as an Imperial Guard mini. And in lore, like Space Marines are supposed to be like way taller than Imperial Guard, like a normal human.
It's called imagination.
Yeah. And so what happened is that eventually they released with the Indomitus era of Warhammer 40K, they released Primaris Marines, and Primaris minis were a lot taller, and they had a whole different like data sheets, and they had whole different things, and so like you could still run with your Firstborn Marines, as they were called, but then everything was getting switched over to this Primaris subset. Mm-hmm. People were pretty fucking pissed, to put it lightly, because the problem is that like, and I kind of get it from a like Warhammer 40K is not a cheap hobby, and basically what a lot of Space Marine players had to do is they basically had to dump their armies and repurchase a whole lot of like miniatures and stuff. So I could kind of understand from that regard like why people were a little upset with it, but then a lot of YouTubers were running this whole line of why do people hate Primaris Marines or things like that, and they kept using the word hate in the title and all this stuff. And actually, I'll share it with you in case anybody's interested in watching it, because he actually does a really good job talking about just YouTube cultured stuff too. But a guy a channel by the name of Arbiter Ian, he does a lot of really good lore videos. He talked about it. He talked quite a bit about like how it's an issue, because the problem is that even though these YouTubers said you were using why do people hate them and all this other stuff, all these YouTubers actually end up saying, I like the idea of the Primaris Marines. I think it was a good idea. I'm glad Games Workshop did it. It's like, well, then why are you not putting that in your title? It's like, it's because it probably doesn't get as many clicks.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem. So
yeah, it's like it's a popular, there's a bunch of different sentences. I was reminded of one I just looked up, but it's hard to convey tone sometimes when you write a sentence.
Yeah.
So a popular example that I remember is the sentence, I didn't say we should kill him. When you change what you emphasize on there, you change the whole sentence. I didn't say we should kill him. 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 Like, all those mean something different. So
I didn't say we should kill him. It's supposed to be that guy. Yeah.
So it's that same thing where it's just like, you gotta, like, your tone automatically can be dismissive, it can be insulting, so you have to be very careful of how you phrase it. And I'm glad that they're learning a lesson from that, because, you know, this is something like, I still think it's you know, it's they're on a strict deadline, and they're doing the best with what they have. And some people make sure to find out what is the best way, while other ones take shortcuts. But, you know, give credit where credit's due. But, you know, never base anything you see at a show as the final product.
Yeah.
Right.
Even though they're not demos, they're not
preview build.
It's gotten to the point where they have to call them demos now, or builds, because they're like, it's not representative of the final game.
Yeah, anytime they do any of these things, they're vertical slices of the game, which can be good or bad. They can be misleading in both directions. Because how many times have we seen, like, we'll take recently Perfect Dark. Like, we saw the vertical slice, the first demo of Perfect Dark looked really good. I was impressed. I was like, oh, cool, I really want to play this. And then apparently it was in such rough state, the game got canceled. So it's like, it looked fantastic for that bit, but apparently not the rest of it. And this was kind of the reverse of it. They took the time to make this vertical slice for Star Wars Outlaws for people to see it for Switch 2. But we don't know how old that build is. And
only my friend will remember. But we went to a convention, and we saw Ghost Recon, one of the newer ones, being shown off. And it wasn't a playable area. And it turned out that you weren't allowed to play the demo because the demo was actually pre-recorded. So he would do these very condescending things like, okay, everybody, tell me when to shoot. And you'd say shoot, and then it would shoot. But you couldn't go anywhere else in the game. The game was already, like, pretty much on rails playing itself the whole time. And nobody ever called that out. And my friend and I were very confused. A big company like Ubisoft, like, we went in and we saw this game obviously not playable, with him faking it. Like, it could have been on a TV show. It was so fake.
Right.
And nobody called that out. And I was just like, because that's not news when they can go after somebody like Nintendo and be like, Switch 2 came out and it already can't handle these games. It's like, I knew it.
Yeah. So when I was looking at this, you know, Chase, like I said, before the show, when we were talking, we brought up the whole fact of, like, rumors and things like that. And rumors, I don't think, as long as you clarify they're a rumor, you can be wrong. That's fine. You hear about it. You think this is what's going to happen because of your sources or whatever. You shouldn't have to take those down, because if you say it's a rumor, it could be wrong. That happens. And it's kind of fun to go back and look at what used to be rumors. Like, do you guys ever go back and see, like, what the Wii people used to rumor of what the controller for the Wii remote was going to be? Like, because I remember a website, Four Color Rebellion, back in the day, that's where I got to know those guys from, was because of the crazy theories on what the controllers could be. And, oh, we've got reports it could be this or that. You know, same thing happened later with the Switch. Like,
that
people
mirror-looking controller.
Oh, that was terrible. Yeah, it looked like a rearview mirror of a car. You just pop off and has analog sticks. It was, oh God. But in this case, when they're reporting on it, I need to go back and clarify a little bit more of, like, what I didn't see Steve Bowling's original video. But he was very clear when he was talking about the beginning of this one that why they took it down, because apparently what was being said was being used, kind of going against the developers and making accusations against them and stuff. And he didn't want to keep fueling that. And I do appreciate the fact he at least admitted to that. And that was the reason why. I think I agree. If they had said it's a preview build and that's what they're showing, then you report on what you're showing, because if Ubisoft decided this is the demo they want to put out, Ubisoft has to deal with what that shows. Good or bad, that's on them. They made that choice to show this for people to report on it. You can't be upset if they're reporting on it.
Yeah, props to Switch Up as well, the channel that put wrong and when they updated their thumbnail.
I saw a few of them that were doing it. I think a couple of them, Switch Up was one of the ones, like you said, that clarified more of what they were saying. I think Steve's was the one I saw kind of expand upon a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I think after that, it kind of became a popular thing where a lot of videos were just like, oh, they wanted to ride the coattails of Star Wars Outlaws being on the algorithm again. So they're like, oh, we messed up. Here's our new video. Watch us because you're seeing a bunch of them. And that's, once again, YouTube algorithm writing is what it's trying to go for, which I still don't understand how that damn algorithm works. I'm just like, we put a video out. I hope people watch it. I have no idea what works or what doesn't.
If we make fun of Microsoft, we get more views.
Weirdly enough, yeah, that's odd.
Xbox, you suck.
So I'm okay with updates. I'm like I said, Chase, like you were talking about earlier, I'm glad they're starting to put them at the beginning.
Yep.
Because people would put them all the way at the bottom, and like they would do that because you have to go through their ads and stuff. And I remember a couple articles I read just shitting on a game. And I was just like, man, why is this thing so bad? I'm having to read through the entire article until I get to the bottom. It never said update anywhere in there. And I see updates at the bottom, and they're like, oh yeah, no, this didn't actually happen. Or, oh, okay, this has been updated. And I'm like, I could have not wasted all this time reading it. Or if I had just read some AI, condensing of it, they probably would have ignored that completely and just put the top stuff at the top and once again regurgitated it, which I think is the other reasons Bowling took down the video, was because that was probably happening. People would see it, regurgitate it, and it just was perpetuating it on, and he wanted to end it there. So I don't know. At least update your stuff. Be honest about it.
Or at least add a pop-up of Jonathan Frakes from Beyond Belief saying, fiction, false, never happened, wrong, and we'll forgive you.
I would at least laugh. That would be great. That would be absolutely fucking fantastic.
Because he's been used in a lot of videos now where they've edited that in, and I applaud
bet
them
he
for
loves it. He probably gets a kick out of it.
Because I've seen ones where they're talking about a certain show, and instead of showing the subtitle of their correction, they'll just show a clip of him saying, wrong, fiction, totally false. Awesome.
Oh, man. Like, we're also seeing, like I said, on the other side of it, like, after what happened with Star Wars Outlaws, the people going back about Elden Ring, trying to kind of cover their butts because they're like, oh, the game looks like it's getting better. They're hitting the performance closer in more of the spots and, all this stuff. Like, there's still dips and issues. Once again, you're playing on a super tiny handheld. Like, this is still ridiculous that it's the same width as my damn phone, and I'm playing these games on it. So I'm expecting some dips. It's not going to be 100% perfect. I'm fine with that. But, you just have to kind of let it be designed. Let the developers do what they're doing. And they're turning out surprisingly functional games.
Just remember what happened to Ark Survival Evolved for Switch.
And
know that there's hope. There's hope for anything.
God, yeah, I'm just going to end on that note because holy shit, they can't really go much further than that. So
I think there's definitely a good conversation to be had at some point about, like what Swan said with Tim Sweeney talking about developing for up here and developing for down here and stuff, because I don't necessarily agree entirely with what Tim was saying, but I understand his point.
Yeah, I think because you've got that happening with, like, you've got popular different development kits and so forth, but especially for PC, you're having to design your games for a wider range of stuff. The higher end PCs that you develop for, like, I want this to only run on a 5090. Well, good luck. How many people actually have a 5090? Like, there's people that are just now going, oh man, I have to get rid of my 1070. Like, it's finally not able to play this,
I like
X, Y, and Z.
that Tim Sweeney gave a solution though. Like, they're going to put classes in there, more updates, because the fact of the matter is, with a lot of those things, people said again that they didn't have dev kits at the time the system was announced.
Right.
They had to Google and search for specs, and then they had to build on those rumored specs. So when those specs didn't meet their expectations, they're like, crap, we have to downgrade or downsize. So a few developers came out and said, when we were developing this game, we developed it as if it was on this or that.
Mm-hmm.
And people who developed it as if it was on Switch fared better because then they were like, oh, now we can add power to it.
Well, it's like,
but people who said they made it on their PC, but they made it to what the specs were purported to be, met with issues later.
Well, it's like a good example of the opposite way was the Prince of Persia that came out a while ago, The Lost Crown. That was designed and built for the Switch and then ported up to PlayStation 5 and Series X and S and PC and stuff. So it still runs really good on the Switch, but runs even better and looks even better on the other ones because they had so much more headroom to add extra graphical features and things like that to it. But the base unit of what they wanted was taken care of. And I don't expect everyone to do that. I mean, not everyone's going to aim for the lowest common denominator. But if you're still making games for a Steam Deck, that is weaker than what the Switch 2 is at this point. Like they've proven that the Switch 2 can outperform that. Not saying it's bad. Steam Deck is still very impressive. But, you know, it's why it always drove me nuts when people complain like the Series S is ruining gaming. How? Like, yeah, it's not as strong. But then this same game you're complaining about is running on a damn Steam Deck. You're making it for that.
Well,
or
I'm half into that camp but that's because Microsoft putting out it has to come out for both.
Yeah.
I mean, so, if you're buying an Xbox, that kind of makes sense.
Split screen on one thing, but then won't have split screen on S. Okay, but some of these games they're like, we're forced to have it also run on the S. So like something like Wukong, like they're like, we had to work harder on it.
I don't think they did shit on that one. The port's so rough. No matter what it is. I think there was a whole deal because Microsoft called them out, but that's a whole different thing. But how is that different than a game has to run on a PS5 and a PS5 Pro? It has to run on both. You can't take advantage of this higher end. Technically, you could make the same argument that the 5 is holding back the Pro, you know, or vice versa. It's like people make these things with different stages of hardware. And they're even on the PC side having to do that with this graphic card to this one. You're not going to always have the high end. So how is this new? And that's what I don't get. But
they just shouldn't mandate.
I think this is probably. I didn't mean for this to go into.
Oh no, this is interesting.
But
it's a big question for a reason.
Next extra quarter, all about Tim Sweeney. Okay.
Yeah, because I definitely think this could be a big question of itself. But yeah, my thing is that I guess for me, the PS5 to PS5 Pro thing, the Pro became the upgrade later on. I don't know that it's necessarily where the Series S and X came out at the same time.
I feel it's still like the people buying Switch 1 games to play on Switch 2 and enjoying new life into them. It's the same thing with Pro.
But I mean, if they were released at the same time, though, why would they even consider making the S if you're like, well, I'm not guaranteed I'm going to be getting the same games. You know, I know I'm not getting the same visual fidelity, but, I'm just going to miss out on this game because I got this system instead of the other one. That's like saying, like, I have a PS5. I guess I don't get to play this new game because you have to have a Pro for it.
People still wonder why they made the system. It's what it is. What it is.
Yeah, I think it was over. I agree. It could be a whole other big question, but I still think the whole point was overblown. People just wanted to have that argument while ignoring so much other shit around it. So that'll be a fun one. We'll definitely have to add that to the list. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap up the big question here. And yeah, that about wraps up the episode tonight for episode 187 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast. Once again, thank you, Chase and Steven, for joining us as we just got into more arguments about a whole bunch of stuff for fun. All right. We're out of here. Peace.
Gabank.
God damn it. Gabank forever. This has been a production of the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast by the staff at zenspath.com. The show is created and edited by Jeremy Powers. You can find the video edition of the show on our YouTube channel at ZenspathCom. The audio edition is located wherever you find your podcasts. Links to all versions of the show, as well as to our Discord where you can talk with us directly, is located at www.zenspath.com. Please leave us a like, thumbs up, comment, and review where you can to help us grow.